Okay, this looks kind of good. I'm messing around with the light. It's really dark in this room. Actually, that's not too bad. A little blinding over there, but okay. Today I'm just going to talk briefly, ever so briefly, about. Gotta get comfortable. About negative cards in positive positions and positive cards in negative positions. Now I did a few notes because I was thinking about that and how to do a video. Now, as in any kind of readings with tarot, you have to think about your worldview. And I'm going to tell you my worldview. And if this is not your worldview, then this may not be pertinent. My worldview is, well, there's many aspects, but I'm specifically thinking of two aspects of my worldview. And it is, I believe that there's one constant, and that is change. So change always occurs. No matter what dimension you're in, macro, micro, and anything, it's always about change. And of course, our own lives are all about change. And the other thing I believe in is choice. So change and choice is part of whatever this is. Whatever that is, whatever all there is involves choice and change. Now, I'll come back to that. So that's my worldview. So you have cards, and there's some cards, most cards, a lot of cards have a light and shadow in them automatically. So they're kind of easy to read, the negative and the positive aspects. Like the moon is easy to read for positive and negative. The Fool is easy to read for positive and negative. So many cards are clear in their positive and negative aspects, their light and their shadow. I'm not going to talk about those cards. I'm going to talk about the cards that are dramatically, uniquely, solidly in one camp or the other. For instance, the Sun card is a very positive card. The Devil card, I mean, there are, I guess, some good things about the Devil card, I don't know, but there tends to be a little negative. Tower card is negative. The Ten of Cups is positive. So I'm talking about those cards, and when you get those cards in a position that's opposite of what their basic nature seems to be. So now what I'm talking about is when you have a card and you have different positions, and you could have a strength and a weakness position. You could have an asset and liability position. You could have something that worked well and didn't work well. You could have something that brings things together, things that takes it apart, pulls it apart, the opportunities and the challenges, the aspirations and the obstacles. So you have this dichotomy in a reading in positions. And then sometimes, I mean oftentimes, you're going to pull a Sun card, which is very positive, in an obstacle position or in a liability position. And also you could pick the Devil in a very asset position or in a positive position. Now, for me, I thought a lot about this in the last 24 hours when someone asked me to do a video on it. And I think if you take a global perspective, it'll be more clear, at least how I see it. So I see as the positive position of a card, whether it's a strength or an asset or what pulls things together, is a growth position. And I see the negative as a stagnant position, a non-growth position, a stagnant, where it's not growing, it's stagnant. So for instance, now how do you read a negative card that's in a positive position? A negative card in a growth position. That's pretty easy to do. I mean, if you have a Three of Swords, and what you can do is, you're going through a difficult time, you're a difficult emotional time, but you will learn something from this. You will grow from it. And any of your negative cards that are sort of negative, you can use that. The Ten of Swords. Yes, it's in a positive position. It's in a growth position that you will then grow from it. You will learn from it, and you will blossom. The Tower card. Yes, it's a terrible card, but in a positive position, it's letting go of the old and coming into a whole new sense of who you are and self, whole new perspective. So the negative cards in a positive position, I think, are pretty easily read, because it's going from a negative to a growth position, a positive position, which makes it grow. And I think that's pretty easy. Now you go into your positive cards that are in negative positions. You take the Sun card and put it in a negative position. Now, how I would see that is a Sun card in a stagnant position, in a non-growth position, where you could be happy, you could be flooded with light, but there's no growth. There's very little growth, and it's stagnancy. Now, what I've been doing is, now you can look for keywords to signify that, or to give yourself little keywords to get over, to define what that is. But I've been thinking about visuals. And so when I think of the Sun card in a negative position, I thought of a snow globe. Here's a snow globe, those beautiful big, I love them. They make them large now too, and they're just so beautiful, and they're heavy, and you shake them, and then they have this, sometimes they have glitter in them as with the snow, and they fall down, and it's like, it's a perfect life. But it's stagnant. It's contained. It's not growing. And the Sun card could be that in a negative position. So I'm thinking of a snow globe. Okay, so I thought of the Ten of Cups. Happy family. What could be negative about a happy family? So you get a happy family, and you put it in the position, a negative position. And I consider that a stagnant position. So a happy family in a negative position, or what I would call a stagnant position, would be Leave It to Beaver House, the Leave It to Beaver home, which is the TV, was in the 50s, a TV show, not real. It was, it was fun to watch, fun to be part of it, through the television, but it wasn't real, and it wasn't growing. If you were locked into a beaver life for the rest of your life, or a Truman life for the rest of your life, or a Stepford life, you wouldn't be good, because there's no growth, there's no movement, there's no growth, and there's fewer choices as well. The other one I thought of was Leave It to Beaver, the snow globe. I thought of the World card. The World card is the self-actualized person, or spirit, or soul. I mean, what can possibly be negative about that? And what I thought of two things. I thought of two visuals. One is the blue marble, our blue marble taken from outer space. It's the Earth. It's a blue marble. I mean, it's beautiful. It's there floating in the sky. But when you look a little closer, it has global warming. It's diseased. It's struggling inside. So it's the world, and it looks like, it's completed, and it's completion in the sky, but interior, inside, there's stagnancy. There's problems. I also thought of a bride on her wedding day, a beautiful bride, a beautiful young woman, all dressed up in her princess gown or whatever. But she has cancer. There's cancer in her body she doesn't know about. It's all cancer. So, I mean, it's troubling because there's stagnancy. When there's no growth, there's stagnancy, and that's a problem. So when you pull a card that's the World card, or the Ten of Pentacles, or the Sun card, and it's in a negative position, think of stagnancy, or think of an image that sort of reminds you of that particular object or that particular card, where there's very little movement, very little growth, and also very little choice. Now, going back to what I started talking about as far as my worldview, choice and change is part of life. Choice and change is existent in all your readings of all your cards, no matter if they're positive or they're negative positions or positive or negative cards. It's just that the choices and the change, the amount of choices and change could be affected by the cards and the positions. So if you have the devil in a negative position, that's weighing it down. That's becoming more stagnant. You're getting more mired in it. You still have choice and you still have change, but it's going to be harder to get out of it. But there's still choice and change at every level, no matter what. If you have the sun card in a negative position, again, you're living in this rarefied position where there's very little change, but there still is change and there still is choice to get out of it. So if you're struggling with how to work with negative cards and positive positions, I would just say it's growth. It's always you're learning from something and you're growing. I mean, that's how life is. We learn through our adversity. So I think that's pretty easy. Now, the positive cards in a negative position, it's difficult to see that. But if you think of stagnation, if you think of, wouldn't it be wonderful to live in a world where it's 70 degrees, no humidity, everything's growing, beautiful, beautiful sunny day? Well, that'd be great, but you wouldn't have any nighttime, or you wouldn't have any snow, or you wouldn't have any winds, or you wouldn't have any rain. Would that be good? I mean, eventually you get very bored of it, my opinion. So the stagnation is something that you would think about when you're putting a positive card in a negative position. This is all my opinion. I may change my mind in next week. I don't think I'll change my mind next week. I could change my mind in a couple of years, though. But anyways, that's what I've come up with. You can work on keywords for yourself for these positions, but I think it's good to come up with like a visual. You could look at the cards for a visual, but I think my idea, for me anyways, thinking of a snow globe for the sun, thinking of a Leave It to Beaver for the Ten of Pentacles, or the Ten of Cups, is pretty effective, very effective. And I could talk at length about that if it does come up in a reading. The dogs are, for some reason, want to go out. They've been out 3 times so far today. So hope this is helpful. Have a great day.